Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about my experience with finding a midwife so people don't make the same mistakes that I made. Like, I want you to know what to expect in a midwife if you're expecting. Again, y'all know the usual. I am a mom of 3, so they are in here with me. So if you hear them playing or just talking, then that's because they're here. So I can't do nothing much else about that right now, but hopefully you're still able to receive this information. So the first thing is I want to talk about the things that I experienced that ended up resulting in me losing out on $1,000 because I just could not deal with this first midwife. So immediately after getting pregnant, I knew I wanted a midwife. To be specific, I wanted a black midwife. Only because of the racism that women experience in the healthcare world. So I knew that I wanted a midwife who understood me as a black woman. So I did a lot of research around my area, and there aren't many midwives actually that do home births in the area, let alone black ones. There was one black midwife I found who did home births. And so immediately I'm like, let me hit her up. Let me try to see if she has any openings for any patients. Long story short, I ended up going with this midwife to begin with, and I paid the $1,000 that she had requested at the beginning of the treatment or of the relationship to ensure that, that she would be providing me with my prenatal care. And so a lot of these issues did not arise, or that I did not realize until after our relationship was dissolved, and I decided that I did not want her to care for me anymore. So let's get into the issues that I dealt with this midwife. First thing, whenever I had an issue that I needed to discuss with her, whether I had a concern with my pregnancy or just with my symptoms, right? She was not available the way I needed her to be available. Now, I didn't know this because this is my first time having a midwife. This is my first time trying to have a home birth. So usually with an OBGYN, you can only talk to them when the office is open. But with midwives, I've learned you should be able to contact them whenever you want to, whenever you have any concerns. Like, they're available for you. They're there for you whenever you need them. You feel me? So whenever I would text her and let her know what I was dealing with, or any concerns or tips that I needed, or just to talk to her because I needed care, right? She would not respond. Like, especially if you call her on the weekend, like, you wasn't hearing from her until Monday. Like, she only has a certain amount of hours, and she was like, well, I only get back to people around my business hours. And so I'm like, business hours? The icing on the cake came when I needed my husband's support. And in order to get my husband's support during my pregnancy, because I had severe morning sickness, was through FMLA through his job. Now, the only way he could get approved for FMLA is if we filled out the paperwork and the healthcare provider, which is the midwife, filled out the proper paperwork to let them know everything that I had going on, all of my doctor's appointments, and pretty much, everything of that nature. For the doctor's appointments, again, my morning sickness was so severe that I could not drive. I was very much incapacitated for the first 3-4 months of my pregnancy. So when it came time for my midwife to fill out the paperwork for the doctor's appointments, she only put down 1 hour. Now, the time that was required includes travel time, and her office was about 35-40 minutes away from me. And so 40 minutes there, 40 minutes back, plus an hour for the appointment, that's about 3-4 hours that I would need in order for the appointments. But she had only put down 1 hour. And so I had asked her, I'm like, they need to know travel time. Why did you only put down 1 hour? So she had informed me that she couldn't account for the time. She couldn't account for the travel time. That was none of her business. Whatever travel time that I needed to talk to them about because she wasn't filling it out. And so I'm like, yeah, okay, she has a point. Let me try to reach out to the FMLA people to let them know what she said. And so I reached out to the FMLA people, and they informed me no. But when I brought this to her, she still refused to fill it out. In order for my husband to also take time off of work for incapacitation for my morning sickness, she needed to fill that out as well. And so when I asked her to fill that out, she then refused to do that as well. And I guess the kicker for it was when she accused me of lying about FMLA. And so she feels the need to tell me, oh, well, I've actually never heard of husbands taking off of work. If you're sick, why is he taking off of work? You don't need him to be there with you. Like, at that moment, I'm like, you know what? Thank you for your services. Thank you for your time. I'm like, I can't do this with you. Like, I can't. This is over. You're fired, pretty much. It was very hard because I had already paid this lady $1,000 to start the care. And I was going to just see things through and allow her to care for me. But after talking to my husband, we're just like, This is care that you're receiving during your pregnancy. If your healthcare provider is stressing you out, why would you stay with them? She had completely invalidated my experience as a pregnant woman, and I was already going through enough. So I had to fire her. That was a terrible experience. So I did end up finding a midwife who I fell in love with. It was actually a network of midwives, and they were all so kind, so great. And I just want to share my experience and what I learned from these midwives, because these are the characteristics that you need to find in a midwife. And so this is my experience with a great midwife, and this is what I want you to look for when you're looking for a midwife if you're expecting. Once I found this midwife, a huge weight was lifted off of my shoulders, because when I had explained to her my issue, she completely validated my entire experience, and she had let me know that I wasn't crazy and that I wasn't tripping. Like, the things that she had put me through, no midwife should be putting a pregnant woman through. So she was much more understanding. And so I'm like, you know what? Let me go with this midwife, who I was so much more happy with. When looking for a midwife and you meet this midwife, make sure you get a feel for her energy. Make sure you don't feel pressured. Make sure you feel that she truly cares for you. Like, a midwife is actually much more intimate than that. So find you a midwife who truly cares about you, and you feel safe, and you don't feel like they don't care about you. Like, you feel cared for. My new midwife, my better midwife, was available at any time I needed her. I could text her at 3 a.m. She's responding. Like, if I had any questions, comments, or concerns, she was there for me. And she did not make me feel like I did not matter or like I was just a patient. Like, she made me feel cared for. So find you a midwife who's available for you at any given time, because you're going to need it. Even though I would hit this lady up at all times of the hour, all times of the day, she still respected my boundaries as an expecting mother. She would verify everything with me first, and she would explain everything to me, and she did not make me do anything that I was not comfortable with. So find you a midwife who respects your boundaries. This is going to make sense once you start to receive the care, but make sure that your care is personalized. You don't feel like, again, like just a patient. Like, your midwife, she knows you. She knows the things that you may face as a pregnant mom. You don't have to keep restating your issues. Like, they know you. They've gotten to know you as an expecting mom. And so the care is a bit more personalized, and it's a lot more intimate. It's kind of like a friendship. So my midwives were knowledgeable and educated, which is very important, because this was my first time having a home birth and my first time having a midwife. So they provided me with plenty of resources, even if it was just about like homeschooling, herbal alternatives to medicine, as well as like a pediatrician, you know, after I gave birth. Like, they had so many different resources I was so happy to receive. So find you a midwife who is knowledgeable and educated. Now, a lot of insurances do not cover home births, so they definitely don't cover the care that your midwives provide. So you're gonna have to pay out of pocket. Now, even though you're paying out of pocket and the midwives, like, that's their livelihood, find you a midwife who isn't motivated by money. My midwife let me know that money was not her motivation. She would not stop care. She would not cut you off if you didn't have the money. Like, there were other arrangements that could be made. They would work with you, but giving you the prenatal care that you need was more important than being paid. And I loved that, because it was just, again, it made me feel really cared for and like I truly mattered. And so those are a lot of the characteristics that I think are very important in finding a midwife. So if you are expecting and you are looking for a midwife, or you're planning to have a baby, make sure your midwife has these characteristics, especially if a lot of us are going to be paying thousands of dollars to get prenatal care. And that was pretty much like the end of it. Now, what I will say is, a couple of weeks or a month or so after I gave birth, I was still able to talk to her about like anything that I may be dealing with, and she was able to provide me with like tips and stuff. So the relationship can kind of be ongoing if you allow it. But I love just the organic nature between an expecting mom and a midwife. It's a lot more comforting. It's a lot more comfortable. Like, you don't have to feel pressured if you have the right midwife, and everything just happens just so beautifully. And I hope you were able to take something from this video about just pretty much what to look for in a midwife and what to expect when having a midwife. So that pretty much wraps up this video. Feel free to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button for more videos. If there's any other type of videos that you would like to see from me, feel free to leave them in the comments, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.